Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 20th Annual Turnaround Achievement Award Ceremony, and a very special welcome to those of you who grace a seat in our audience year after year. My name is Rose Arsenault, and I'll be your MC for tonight's ceremony. The question that I always like to ask is, how is everybody feeling tonight? I figured. Well, if you're feeling good now, I guarantee you will feel even better when you leave this night. Word has gotten out. You can tell by the number of you who are sitting in the audience. This is an amazing night. Of the many events that I MC, this is definitely one of my favorites. I always have to do a little check for this one. Glasses, check. Box of Kleenex, check. You laugh, but you will need one of these before the end of the night, I guarantee. So, before we begin our ceremony, please stand for the Honorable Graydon Nicholas, Lieutenant Governor of the Province of New Brunswick, and Her Honor, Madame Elizabeth Nicholas. So please take your seats and remain seated as our Turnaround Achievement Award recipients for 2014 are piped in by Andrew Wainwright, grade 10 student, Chipman Forest Avenue School. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our 2014 Turnaround Achievement Award recipients. I want to say congratulations to each and every one of you tonight. Tonight is your night, and we are here to celebrate your success. You will take your rightful place on this stage again later tonight, but for now, I invite you to join your guests and make yourselves comfortable in your seat. And while you find your seats, I want to thank our piper, Andrew Wainwright, for doing a great job in escorting in our students. Andrew, great job. All right, kids, you can make your way back to your seats, and we'll get things underway. I would ask everyone to please stand for the singing of O Canada by Renee Davis, grade 8 student at Harold Peterson Middle School.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in our sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Great Great job, Renee. Renee should consider trying out for Canadian Idol. That was beautiful. So, ladies and gentlemen, we do have some special guests with us tonight. Please hold your applause until I do introduce them all. Honorable Keith Ashfield, Member of Parliament of the Federal Constituency of Fredericton. If you don't mind, I would like to ask all of our special guests to stand as I introduce them, because your support of this event in particular, year in and year out, is very much appreciated. And I want everybody to see, especially if you're looking as good as Keith is these days. So the Honourable Keith Ashfield, Member of Parliament. Honourable David Alward, Premier of the Province of New Brunswick. Brian Johnson, President, Kingswood. David McTimoney, Superintendent of Anglophone School District West. The Honourable Marie-Claude Blais, Minister of Education and Early Childhood Development. The Honourable Craig Leonard, Minister of Energy and Mines. The Honourable Troy Lifford, Minister of Justice. And the following members of the Legislative Assembly: Brian MacDonald, Pam Lynch, Jack Carr, Ross Wetmore, Carl Urquhart, and last but certainly not least, His Worship Ed Ferris, the Mayor of Chipman. Again, thank you all for attending this incredible event. And I do want to sincerely apologize if I've missed anyone. Tonight marks a special night as we celebrate our 20th anniversary. My, how time flies. We are very pleased to have two people who are instrumental in getting the Turnaround Achievement Award ceremony introduced within our districts. Alex Dingwall, please stand. Alex was working at the Department of Education at the time, and Dr. Barry Miller, who I hadn't seen in ages, and he still looks so good. And I heard the lovely story from your wife, so great story there. Barry was the superintendent of District 25 at that time. Now, without these two gentlemen, the Turnaround Achievement Award ceremony would never have become the wonderful event that we look forward to each year. So thank you both very, very much. Now, just a few housekeeping announcements. The washrooms are located just outside the back doors as you're leaving the ballroom. Feel free to come up and take pictures, but we would ask if you would please crouch down so you're not blocking the view of the people. And lastly, please turn off your cell phones, and I'm going to give you a minute to do that now. And I have lots of thank yous, and I'm sure I will have more at the end of this evening. But for now, just a short list. I sincerely want to thank the media for its generous coverage of this event, pre, during, and post. In particular, I would like to thank the CBC because I think they've been the most consistent of the media in terms of their coverage. Who heard the interview with Angela Ackman this morning on CBC Information Morning? What a great interview, and we can't wait to hear from Angela a little bit later on in our presentation. And last but not least, thank you to the parents, to the guardians, to the teachers, to the guidance counselors for helping make this very special night possible. And again, I want to thank the Turnaround Achievement Awards Committee for all their hard work in organizing this event. An event of this caliber and of this nature doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen without a small army of people behind it. You will find their names listed in your program, but I would ask again if they would please stand and be recognized, especially considering this is their 20th, and some of them have been involved for probably half those years. So again, the organizing committee, please stand. Now, as I mentioned, this is our 20th anniversary of the Turnaround Achievement Awards, and we have prepared a very special video that we would like to share with you at this time. There is such a tribute to the kids who are receiving these awards. they have turned their lives around dramatically from some experiences that we would never imagine in our own lives.
I think they're doing an amazing thing. It shows that that there is somebody out there who actually cares about like good people and people who are trying to be good and trying to make their own way. It really helps.
On a given afternoon 20 years ago, two gentlemen came into my office to talk about this new initiative that they experienced in Florida. So Ernie McFadgen and Brian Johnson were so excited about this Turnaround Achievement Award program that they wanted to introduce it to the school district.
It was because of these inspirational stories of students that have had very difficult times and have turned their lives around. And so that was extremely moving. They were helping kids of many varieties get recognized for turning their lives around, kids that were going down the wrong path, and we just thought that would be a wonderful thing for this community.
I've not really made a complete turnaround so far. I'm just kind of, not deep.
Every celebration that I've attended to see the pride, not only in the students, but in their parents and families. And to me, that's such a boost of confidence that can help propel them into bigger and better things, not only in future years at school, but also after they've finished high school.
My name is Angie Aquin. I first got involved 20 years ago when I was one of the first recipients of the Turnaround Achievement Award.
She came over to me and she told me she was a first-year recipient and remembered it well and how important it was for her. And now she's a counselor in the school system here in Fredericton. And so we both were in tears and hugged. And that's how important it is to them.
And for someone to actually get to the point where they can say, I am not going to continue on the road that I've been. I'm going to turn my life around, and I'm going to start down the road that I need to be on. That's a tremendous decision, and that young man or woman needs all the support and all the encouragement we can give, because they deserve so much credit.
I just really had some hard times, and these guys have been there through the whole thing, and without them, I don't think I'd be up here today. So just thank you guys. I love you guys all.
There are a lot of times when teachers don't get the recognition they deserve, and this is one example where we have a chance to really celebrate some of the great professionals that we have in our system.
I think anyone, especially anyone who has ever volunteered, wants to make a difference. And when you can make a difference in the life of another human being, you want to step up to the plate. And that's exactly what Kingswood has done.
You've learned a lot in the turnaround you've gone through, and to pay it forward and help others, because at the end of the day, helping others could be the greatest legacy of your life.
It's not even for the recognition. You know what? They see the difference that it's made in their staff, in their classmate, and they want to have the same change in their life. And wouldn't you?
If I hadn't been able to turn it around, I'm scared I would have been one of those statistic First Nation women. And now I've broken through a lot of those barriers, and I've been able to stand tall and be proud. And I couldn't imagine life without it being like it is now.
One Kleenex down, thankfully another box to go. And I see I'm not the only one, so I just want you folks to open up your hearts, because this, again, is going to be a very, very special evening. And one of the themes we heard is paying it forward. You're also going to hear that as a recurring theme as the night progresses. At this time, I would like to welcome David McTimoney, Superintendent of Anglophone School District West. David.
Thank you, Rose, and thank you everyone for being here this evening. It's a great evening, and one where we can really take the time to celebrate the accomplishments of many students. I have a couple of teachers who I'm very proud of as well, and a chance to sit back and listen to some stories that maybe didn't start with a very easy beginning, but as we watch tonight and as we watch into the future, we see some lives turning around. And it's such a wonderful opportunity to recognize these individuals, these students who've worked so hard. Sometimes things don't come easy, but perseverance has paid off, and here being recognized tonight. Of course, with many thanks from your families, from your teachers, from the community, people like Brian Johnson who take their responsibility to give back to the community as something very important. Thank you to all our special guests here this evening, to have the Lieutenant Governor, the Premier, the Minister, and many of her colleagues, to have our Member of Parliament. That certainly talks about how important this evening is, and really shows an overall commitment to the youth in our province. And once again, congratulations to our students, and I hope you enjoy the evening.
And it is with great pleasure that I now call upon the Honourable David Alward, the Premier of New Brunswick, who is with us tonight, and I would ask His Honour to come forward with some remarks.
Good evening, everyone, and hello, Light. How do you manage that? Great to see everyone here tonight, and tonight is a night of celebration, and I'm wondering, and I apologize, I got here late from another commitment. I'm going to be going early because there was a death in my community, which I need to go spend some time with the family this evening. But if you don't mind, if the students could stand up just for 1 second so I can put a face on everybody. Okay. Look, tonight, and I'm going to just really briefly talk about those who have supported you. But before we do that, to each and every one of you, you are heroes. To so many of us here today, you're champions. You're young people who are making a difference. And it's because you've made a decision to do things right. And I want to thank each and every one of you for your commitment to be the very best that you can be, and whatever that means at the end of the day. And, you know, without you ultimately making that decision, all the work that everybody else and the support that can be found within the system or at homes or communities, et cetera, wouldn't be able to make that impact. So thank you so much and congratulations. And tonight is a real celebration of success for you and part of your journey. Now, to everybody else in the room tonight who's here, you know, and I know it gets said very often, but it takes really a village or a community to raise a child. And tonight is a very good example of that, where, you know, we honor so many wonderful teachers and other school professionals within the system that are making a difference each and every day in the lives of our children right across the province. I want to thank you so much for your commitment to that. People like Brian, you know, and Kingswood, and 20 years of dedication and commitment to this community in so many different ways. Again, the school system can't manage it alone. It takes people that are prepared to step up to the plate and partner to make a difference. And thank you, and you're a great representative of what being part of a community is all about. And then we have family and friends who are here as well. And again, without that commitment at home, that support structure, and it's not always easy, you know, the opportunities for our children aren't going to be as strong. So the work, the commitment that you've provided to help your son, your daughter to succeed, we want to thank you so much for that. So tonight is a night of celebration. It's part of a journey. The young fellow that was on the video that said, you know, I'm not all the way there yet. I don't think any of us are, right? That's all part of that journey. but the work that these young people have accomplished thus far, it's wonderful that we can certainly celebrate that, and all the best to each and the rest of you as you go forward for the remainder of the year. Thank you very much.
Okay, I need a show of hands. Am I the only one that's getting kind of choked up even when the Premier speaks? Like, seriously. Last year I struggled through it, and tonight it's starting early, so I'm a little bit worried, but needless to say, we are going to proceed, tears or no tears. So I now would like to introduce, and if you're new to this event, this is something that's very special, and again, the Premier alluded to the heroes in the audience as well. Those are the educators. So right now we're going to introduce the Kingswood Educator Awards, whereby we will recognize a couple of teachers who have played a significant role in the lives of students. So would the following people form the receiving line on the stage: the Honorable Graydon Nicholas, our Lieutenant Governor, the Honorable Marie-Claude Blais, Minister of Education and Early Childhood Development, Brian Johnson and David McTimoney. Now, one teacher from each sub-district has been selected to receive this award. As I call your name, if you could come to the podium and following the presentation, make your way through the receiving line. We will begin with sub-district Oromocto, formerly District 17, and I would ask David McTimoney to come forward and present the Educator of the Year Award to Kimberly Allen of Cambridge Narrows Community School. Now, you won't see Kim Allen wearing a unitard, a cape, or a mask, but don't let this fool you. She is indeed a real-life superhero, especially to those students who have been fortunate enough to be in her classroom. She does not save people from burning buildings, nor does she leap over tall buildings in a single bound, but what she does do is every bit as extraordinary. Every day, Kim arrives at work with a smile on her face, ready to embrace the day. Her superhero usually, well, I'm going to check it out, see if this is true. Her superhero outfit usually consists of black or gray dress pants, a blouse of neutral shade, check, and yes, sensible shoes. She prepares and serves breakfast to students to ensure they are in optimal learning mode. She makes learning fun, seeking out materials and resources that serve and are of interest to all students. She looks for real-life applications so that students will see the value of and understand the content. She is extremely adept at modifying and enriching every curricular outcome. Kim's inclusionary practices have resulted in a frenzy of learning in the classroom. Kim has a natural gift of recognizing when students need extra help or a break from everyday pressures. Despite a hectic schedule, she finds time to help those in need, even if it means giving up her spare time. She also knows when and how to explain to parents and other teachers that a particular student just needs a little less stress put on them. Students respect and trust her, often seeking her out when they are experiencing difficulties at home or at school. 3 years in the vice principal seat gave Kim opportunities to learn more about her struggling students and helped her to develop her gift of knowing when to push harder and when to ease up. Kim's superpowers extend beyond the classroom. She has coached soccer, chaperoned after-school events or sports functions, all the while building rapport with students. All students, regardless of home background, academic success, or behavioral choices, look up to Kim Allen. She is indeed a real-life superhero and is more than deserving of the Kingswood Educator Award.
I'm both humbled and honored to receive this award. I'd like to begin by saying how fortunate I am to have the opportunity to get up every morning and go to a job that I truly enjoy doing. I'd like to thank all the staff at CNCS for your support over the years. You really do make my job so much easier. Also, a special thank you to Heather Ryan for nominating me for this award. I would also like to thank my family for your continued support and encouragement, especially the encouragement that you gave me 22 years ago when I decided that I wanted to follow my dream and go to university to become a teacher. Had it not been for this encouragement, I would not be standing in front of you this evening receiving this award. Thank you.
And now David will present the Educator of the Year award to Diane Ridley of George Street Middle School. Diane Ridley's skills as a guidance counselor extend far beyond her letters. Diane puts all her energy into those around her, her students, her colleagues, and her friends. She listens, she supports, and she guides. She can see the accomplishments when most of us are still focusing on the faults. She often appears on the scene before calamity strikes and quietly works her magic behind the scenes. Her door is always open, and no matter how busy she may be, she always finds time to counsel. Diane extends herself far beyond her office walls, whether she is heading the George Cares, George Shares Christmas food drive, visiting the home of a disillusioned student to offer support, or leading the GSMS Peer Helpers. That's a student helping student program that builds confidence and life skills in those involved. Diane is always sharing her gifts and reaching out to others. Even when the school year is over, Diane continues to give. Summer after summer, she has gone out into the community to help build houses for Habitat for Humanity. Diane's commitment to the betterment of others comes from her heart. Her straightforward approach, quick wit, and last but not least, her award-winning Rice Krispie Squares put her in a league of her own. She is a true champion and a real hero. She has been a teacher for over 30 years and spent the last 9 years of her career as guidance counselor at George Street Middle School. This past January, her desire to travel and teach beyond brought her to a difficult decision to retire. She will be sorely missed, for she is one of the key reasons George Street Middle School has many successes with many of their most at-risk youth.
I too feel very fortunate to have been able to teach every day and work with students. They give their energy, their frustrations, and I like to celebrate their successes with them. I want to thank my two sons for being here with me tonight. I really appreciate them making the trip up from St. John. And I'd like to thank my staff at George Street Middle School. They're a great bunch of people. They're always there to support me and to encourage me and to laugh with me at the end of every day. And I'd like to congratulate the students here tonight. You all have your own story and your own set of circumstances. And you've worked hard to get here, and I wish you well in your future.
Well done. We're going to hear more from teachers and more accolades for them as well. But again, receiving line may be seated. And we will begin our student presentations momentarily. But before we do that, since this is our 20th anniversary, we're delighted to have one of our very first Turnaround Achievement Award winners with us tonight. We made reference to her in the video. She was on the radio this morning. She's exceptional. And 2 decades ago, she graced this stage. Today, Angela Aquin is an intervention worker at Devon Middle School, and I'd ask that she come forward to share some of her experiences with us. Angela.
I didn't know which mic to go to. Doesn't matter. Maybe I should go there. My son's there. I'm so excited to be here. First thing I wanted to share was that I'm not a counselor. I am the First Nation transition worker at Devon Middle School, and I've been there for 2.5 years. And the other thing that I have to do Kids can appreciate this. Let's take a selfie. My sister, who's one of my biggest supporters, dared me to do it, and my son double dared me. I take my dares. How exciting to be here tonight. Celebrating 20 years of the Turnaround Achievement Award. This morning on the morning show, which if you weren't there to hear it, because I didn't hear very many clapping, I wouldn't have been either at 6:15 a.m. So I am not offended. It is on tape, there's links, CBC Information Morning. So you feel free to go there to listen to the interview. It was such an enjoyable experience, bringing me back, being on this stage, bringing me back. Oh, and if you want to take a picture, you don't have to crouch down. This angle, much better. It took me back to those 20 years. Like I said, 20 years that I graduated blows my mind. 22 years ago, 23 years ago, when I was struggling. That came forward today for me. Growing up, I went through a lot of bullying issues. And now we hear so much about bullying and cyberbullying and all those things. And those were some of the things that I went through as well, being a First Nation person. So because of all those struggles that I had, and there were other ones that I don't need to share tonight, through all those struggles, I turned to drugs and I turned to alcohol. At the age of 11, I turned to those things to comfort me. And so I went through that just trying to find a place to fit in. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to fit in. I was being raised in a non-Native community where the only Native people were my sister and I. I was estranged from my father due to court orders until the age of 12. So I never knew where I fit in. So I found a group that were willing to accept me, and I grabbed a hold of them. So I struggled through that. My mom was there. My parents, neither one of them drank, my mom or my stepdad. Neither one of them drank my entire childhood or through my, and they still don't, 30 odd years later, 30 odd. They still don't drink to this day. So I had a good home. So parents out there that have said, what did I do wrong? Nothing. What can we do to finish supporting? Support them, love them, unconditional. I have a 17-year-old, he's sitting over there, the only one with a hat on, which I told him would be happening in the room tonight. I have a 17-year-old, and we have our struggles, and I've continued to love him. I continue to support him. I told him, just as was said to me, I'll never give up on you. That is a promise. I will never give up on you. I will never throw the towel in, just like people didn't throw the towel in on me. So when I made the decision at 16 years old, I wanted to be sober. I'd had a weekend where it was so full of fun and laughter. And people who heard the show this morning, I said to Kevin when he called, I said, well, whatever you heard this morning, you're gonna hear again tonight. Sorry, same story. But I'd had this weekend full of fun, full of excitement, full of love, full of support in a sober surrounding. And I thought, that's what I want. I want the people that love me, that support me, that care about me, that want me to be healthy. See, if we continue to show these things to our youth today, then that might be what they grab onto. So that's what I did. And also at the age of 13, I'd said in this morning, my mom introduced me to an elder who told me that it was time to make some choices in my life. At the age of 13, I wasn't ready. But at the age of 14 and 15, I was starting to get involved in my culture. And I was able to hold on to what that was giving me, that identity. So at the age of 16, I made the decision after that weekend. That summer, I'd been at a gathering down in the States, and I gave my offering to the Sacred Fire, where I said, help me. I want help to leave the drug and alcohol behind. And I needed the support from my spiritual family, from my elders, and from peers, and from teachers, from our family. And I was able to put that out there. I was ready, I was willing, I was open. And that's what I had to wait for. And because of that, I was able to receive the love that everybody wanted to give me Everybody wanted to love me. I was able to receive the support. After receiving the Turnaround Achievement Award and sitting in a room much like this one, it wasn't as fancy as this. And if you saw the video, I had big white glasses. But I was sitting in that room thinking, all these people are here to support me. And I guess that would be part of what my message is today to the youth out there that are receiving this award. I'm here for you too. I think you're worth it. Okay, that picture will be posted on my Facebook. I can't help it. The wonderful thing, like I said when I came up, I'm not a counselor. Kids are on my Facebook. I think that's an important role that I play. If you want to be on my Facebook, it's ANGEE, the name's in the thing, but you have to tell me how you know me. Put down like Turnaround Achievement or something like that. And if you ever just want to talk to somebody, whether you're the parent or the guardian, or if you're the child, the youth, and you want somebody who's kind of removed from the situation, I'm more than happy to do that. I had gone back to school. I stayed home with my son till he was 5, and then I went back to school. And then I went in and I became an LPN through NBCC, where I was able to be the first ever First Nation valedictorian for my graduating class. I'd gone up to the ceremony the year before and I watched that valedictorian. I wasn't graduating, but I watched that valedictorian and I said, I want to be up on that stage. I want to be that valedictorian. I want to be proud. I worked really hard. It was in my grade 12 year that I'd gotten the Turnaround Achievement Award. So academically, I'd struggled for all those 11 years. So I pushed myself really hard in nursing school and as a single parent, and I graduated with top honors. So I wanted that. I had my eye on that goal, and I did it. So I'd been nursing in my community and also at the DVA for a couple of years. This job description came out from Devon Middle School, and I was a diabetes educator foot care specialist, okay? But I'd always had my foot in youth activities. I've always volunteered with different activities. I work with the Ted Nolan, Tim Horton Leadership Camp, and I've used to run a youth group in the community called Smile. Some people might have heard of Smile. So I thought, maybe I do have enough on a resume to apply for this job. Because I looked at it, I said, it's written for me. They want me to love our kids. That's what my job is. And it blew my mind that they were willing to pay me to do this, to do what I love to do anyway. And so I applied for that position, and my principal and my vice principal are here this evening too. And we have Dylan receiving the award on behalf of Devon Middle School. And so when I went into that school, and I went to that interview though, and I said to myself, I want this. And I set my eye on that goal, and I achieved that goal. I left my nursing career after a brief 2 and odd years, and went to work at Devon Middle School working with First Nation youth. And my title is First Nation Transition Worker, but my job is so much more than that. If any youth ever wanted me, if anybody ever needed me, I am totally there. I would say a lot of my budget is bobby pins and elastics. When you're 12 years old, your hair is really important on a school day. It can make or break your school day. And I validate that for those kids. I validate those boys that come to me and say, oh, this girl really likes me and I don't know what to do. Really? That's really exciting. Not, oh yeah, there's going to be plenty more of those. Right? Which so many times as adults, that's what kids hear from the adults. Oh, there's more fish in the sea, you're going to get over this breakup. They don't need to hear that. So I validate those kids. I validate their struggles. I celebrate their successes with them, just as we're doing here tonight. Celebrating those successes, acknowledging that they had struggles, and looking at getting past them. So I think that's all the time I had. Somebody said, did you write a speech for tonight? I said, well, it's all about me. So I don't know my time-wise where I'm at. Can anybody give me a... I'm looking for somebody. Gary's waving at... What do you say, Gary? Am I good? Cut? So I want to thank you very much for the support that you've given to me for the last 20 years, for the support that you continue to give your youth, for the support that we give to each other as parents, as educators. You know, I'm a bit of an example to you of what can happen when you believe in somebody. Okay? I'm a woman, I'm First Nation, I'm a mom, and I'm doing something I absolutely love to do. And it's all because of the support that's been shown to me from the time of the Turnaround Achievement Awards 20 years ago. So with that, I thank you very much for your time, and I thank you for having that vested interest to be here. I know we could have filled this room again with people that would have wanted to be here to support these students. So thank you very much. From my heart, I thank you, my family thanks you, and my community thanks you.
Angela, well-deserved standing ovation. You are a remarkable individual, a remarkable speaker, and a wonderful inspiration to everyone here tonight. And I think what I took away from that is that you really don't need to be in a position of teacher or counselor, but any of us can make a difference in the lives of youth and students, and you're going to see that tonight, and I hope it will inspire you to do some of the things with the passion that Angela has. So again, a round of applause for Angela. So we will now begin the presentation of our 2014 Turnaround Achievement Awards. Permit me to just briefly explain the ceremonial proceedings. Each recipient will be escorted to the podium, that one, and then following the presentation and the acceptance speech, if you desire to deliver an acceptance speech, you will make your way through the receiving line. Each student this evening will receive the following: a pewter medallion, a certificate from Premier David Alward, a certificate from the Member of Parliament Keith Ashfield, a certificate from Minister of Education and Early Childhood Development, Honourable Marie-Claude Blais. Could the following form the receiving line? Again, the Honourable Graydon Nicholas, the Honourable Marie-Claude Blais, Brian Johnston, and David McTimoney. And I will introduce the student, the school they are from, and the presenter, starting with Kristen Moss, grade 12 student at Cambridge Narrows Community School. And to present her award, Heather Ryan, teacher.
Good evening. Wow, that light is really bright. Holy. Cambridge Narrows Community School is proud to award our Turnaround Achievement Award to Kristen Moss. Attitude: absent, confrontational, disengaged, a little bit sneaky. These words used to be used to describe the old Kristen. Kristen moved to Mill Cove to live with her grandmother at the beginning of her grade 10 year at CNCS. Upon her arrival, she made it clear to her teachers and her family that she did not like school and really didn't want to be at CNCS. She made it very well known that she really didn't care to attend school at all. Throughout her grade 10 year, Kristen's attendance was sporadic, and when she did attend, a not-so-nice attitude came to school with her. Her first year at her school consisted of attending when she felt like it, doing assignments when there was nothing better to do, making poor decisions at times, which led to several meetings with her father, her grandmother, and her teachers. Somehow, she survived her first year with us, but her teachers worried that she might not return. She was very distant and very disengaged at school. Kristen did return to us in grade 11, and little by little, she started to come alive. She started making a few close friends and started feeling connected to her classmates. Attendance was still a bit of an issue at times, and studying was not always at the top of her priorities. In her grade 12 year, life changed for Kristen. Her teachers now describe her as a quiet leader, caring for her classmates, her teachers, and her studies. She steps up to the plate whenever someone needs a helping hand. She is now using her persuasive powers for good instead of evil. Instead of a once disengaged student struggling to find her place, Kristen is now participating in sports, SRC, the yearbook committee, and her grad class executive. She has seen academic successes in the past year, and she has set her sights on completing grade 12. Kristen is a pleasure to have in class. Her teachers have seen a complete turnaround. Quiet leader, driven, passionate, humorous, confident, supportive. These words describe the new and improved Kristen. We are very pleased to award Kristen with a Turnaround Achievement Award.
I'm very honored to receive this award, and I just want to thank everybody who's supported me, from my family to my friends, and especially Miss Ryan, who never gave up. Thank you.
Our next award recipient is Miranda Scott. She's in grade 10, attending Central New Brunswick Academy, and here to present her award is Rose LeBlanc, teacher.
Ooh, that is bright. Okay. Am I good? Can I go? Good evening. My name is Rose LeBlanc, as I guess you've said already. I teach French at CMBA. I first taught Miranda when she was in middle school, grade 6. She was a shy, quiet girl who sometimes hid behind her beautiful long brown hair. As you can see, she has kept her long, beautiful brown hair. But she was always kind and would speak when spoken to, although shy at times. She was a delight to teach, never giving anyone trouble, other than the occasional witty comment. When Miranda was in grade 7, okay, where's those Kleenex? Are they here? She suffered the loss of her little brother to meningitis. He had just turned 3. Thank you. This was a devastating tragedy for Miranda and her family. After this loss, she seemed to temporarily lose a part of her soul. It impacted her socially, academically, and of course, very personally. Being a young adolescent experiencing a tragedy such as this would be life-changing in many ways. Now in grade 10, Miranda has persevered as she continues to work through this tragedy in her life. She has found a way to remember her little brother's spirit while managing her grief and putting forth full effort during her high school years. She's managed to raise her average into the 90s and has truly blossomed into a mature and bright social young woman who is truly an asset to have in class. And I'm going to tell a funny story that's not in my speech, but when Miranda was, well, actually just last year in French class, I was telling this earlier to her family, but in post-intensive French, there's a lot of communication and there's a lot of French speaking, I guess I should say. So each class we would, bonjour, comment ça va aujourd'hui? And then I would ask the students, and I remember one class, I asked Miranda, qu'est-ce que tu as fait pendant la fin de semaine? And I said, Miranda, because it was her turn to speak, and she just, no. She just said no. She wasn't going to answer me that day. So from that to now, Miranda is truly an asset to have in class. She's usually the first one to raise her hand, and she's always participating. And when this Turnaround Achievement Award was mentioned at our school, she was the first one that popped into my head, and I really think that she has just represented this award very well. So I'll go back to my speech. Once full of attitude, she has found her humor again and shares it as she engages with her teachers and peers. With the support of her close friends and family, Miranda has turned her situation around for the positive, and myself, along with her teachers, believe that she is going places. We are so very proud of her turnaround this year and extremely confident for her future, and I just can't wait to see Miranda in the future. And she's one of those students that when I see her, 5-10 years from now, always give her a hug and happy to see her. So congratulations, Miranda.
I was sort of hoping that I'd be able to sit down through a few of these to know what to say. So I'll just say thank you to my teacher, Madame LeBlanc, the staff teachers at CMBA, and my family, especially my dad. Thank you very much.
Our next student recipient is Troy Drost, grade 12 student at Chipman Forest Avenue, and here to present Troy with his award, Lisa McLean.
Good evening, special guests, honored recipients, and parents. I am proud and honored to present this well-deserved Turnaround Achievement Award to Troy Drost. I first want to thank the mayor. I know he's not here this evening. I hope everything is fine with him because he was supposed to be here. But I personally wanted to thank him for taking Troy as a co-op student. I teach Troy, presently co-op Education 12-0, and the mayor has taken Troy as a co-op student and provides him with the skills that is needed for his future. And it's so nice to see a village take on the partnership with the school, and they have done that each and every year, and I just want to personally thank Mayor Ed Ferris for that. And Troy enjoys the co-op program. He is excited. He wants to come to school, and he loves co-op. During Troy's 7 years at CFAS, Chipman Forest Avenue School, the staff have had the pleasure of working with and getting to know Troy. Troy came to Chipman Forest Avenue School as a young grade 6 student who was dealing with a wide range of emotional, social, and educational issues. Troy's middle school years were punctuated with frequent suspensions, poor academic effort, low school engagement, and frustration. There was little change when Troy entered grade 9, but the staff refused to give up on him, and slowly but steadily, Troy began to make a turn. Behavioral incidents became less explosive. Troy began expressing his frustrations more fluently, and he was increasingly willing to work with his teachers. He was becoming an active learner and assumed responsibility for his academic journey. A noticeable shift began in grade 10 and continued on through grades 11 and 12. Troy worked with the staff to achieve his goals. He began articulating plans for after graduation, and he formed meaningful relationships with adults in the building. During his graduation year, he focused on completing his courses successfully and became a student leader in many of his vocational classes, helping those students who lacked his knowledge of all things mechanical. He shone in his environmental science class and brought real-life experiences and prior knowledge to the classroom discussions. Even though he continues to struggle with literacy and numeracy, he has recognized his struggles and developed ways to compensate for them, all the while challenging himself to become a stronger and more fluent. A perfect example of this would be that in middle school, Troy would never choose to read, and in the past 2 years, Troy has been reading constantly. He has been succeeding, and his teachers recognize this achievement. Troy has matured behaviorally, socially, and emotionally into a young man that is able to self-regulate, empathize, respect, and appreciate the caring adults that are around him. The other day, I interviewed a few students to see how they viewed Troy's nomination. The students had very positive things to say, such as, "Congratulations, he has definitely changed his behavior and everything else. Well-deserved, hard worker, and very talented welder. He was in trouble a lot in middle school, but now he helps out a lot and he wants to do well. The last student that I talked to, she said he actually did start to change in the best way, and he's being acknowledged for it tonight. I hope Troy realized these comments are something to be proud of. I recently found a quote on the internet from a man named Les Brown. I believe this is what Troy is trying to do. Accept responsibility for your life. Know that it is you who will get you where you want to go, no one else. Troy plans to continue his education by attending the MBCC in Miramichi to take heavy equipment course. This is something that we would never have heard him say 3 years ago. It gives me great pleasure this evening to present this award to a fine young man who has a positive outlook towards life and school. The staff and students of Chipman Forest Avenue School are very proud of his achievements. We wish you success in your future endeavors, and I'm so proud of Troy. I wish that I didn't have to do all this fancy speech because I like to just say it the way it is, but you get nervous up here, and the lights are strong. Because my speech, I wanted to say, Kingswood, thank you very much and the committee for putting on an event like this, because I would drive 4 hours to see an event like this because it means so much to me and so much to the students. It's just such a worthy event. So thank you very much.
I remember in middle school, I did not want to come to school. Sometimes I wouldn't even make it to school without getting in trouble on the bus. Then, when I started in grade 9 and 10, it was about the same. In grade 11, things started to change. I started coming to school and tried not to get kicked out. I realized that I wasn't going to graduate if I continued down that road. I wanted to go out or get out of school and take a heavy equipment operator's course to get out and start making money. I would like to thank my mom and dad and the staff for supporting me and not giving up on me when I was a little rugrat. I never thought that I would have graduated without the support from all of you. All these years I've been pulled into the office because of something I had done. Now this year I was pulled into the office to be told that I had received this award. Thank you.
I just love these stories. Oh my gracious. Our next recipient is Ben Wickens. Ben is in grade 8, attending Bliss Carman, and here to present his award is Jacob Lingley, his math teacher.
Ben, I'll give you a little bit of a pass on the math homework tonight, okay? All right, good. I'd like to tell you a little story. We'll start off about Ben's grade 6 year at Bliss Carman. We go 6 through 8. So when his grade 6 teachers were asked to describe Ben during his grade 6 year, one teacher pointed out that he never smiled. When he was asked about his grade 6 year, Ben's eyes went to the floor and he said, "It wasn't good. I just asked him out here." He said the same thing. For this young man, every day was a tough day, and the first few months were exhausting. He tried every trick in the books to test his teacher's patience. Reprimands and detentions didn't seem to have the desired impact. He had a great deal of trouble controlling his temper. At times, he had to be removed from class, and there were other times where he would outright refuse to admit himself to class. He was sent to the office daily, had trouble relating to his peers, and consumed a great deal of his teacher's time. With all this being said, his teachers could see something very special under that tough, rigid exterior. He had a unique personality and a charisma that other students just don't possess at his age. It was obvious that he had unwavering support from his mom and dad, Krista and Brent. Today, you would not be able to pick him out of a group based on the aforementioned description. Ben is always willing to help and never needing to be asked. He is one of the few students who will volunteer to help out every time there is a need at the school. and very little seems to be a challenge for Ben. He takes on the most daring of math questions every day, I might add. He always offers a tactful joke and a really funny pun. He continues his challenge outside of the classroom. He can often be spotted mastering his Rubik's Cube. What is it, a 7x7? And he can also be seen in a heated match of ping pong with his principal, Mr. Hamilton. And he is often now seen smiling. I'm not standing here to paint the picture that every day is perfect for Ben. He still has the occasional struggle, and sometimes he needs to be coached while he works through difficult situations. But when one considers where Ben has been and where he is now, I can unequivocally say that his accomplishments have been nothing short of spectacular. On behalf of his fellow classmates, students, and staff and faculty at Bliss-Carman Middle School, I'm very proud to have witnessed the journey through grade 8. I'm very pleased to be able to present Ben with this award tonight.
I would like to say a big thank you to my parents, my grandparents, for all the support they've given me, and of all the years I've had trouble. All my staff members that Mr. Langley has for giving me the hand I needed all of these years. Thank you.
I would now like to call upon Christine Pratt, who is the educational assistant at Devon Middle School, to present our next award to Dylan Lyons, who is in grade 8 there.
Good evening. My name is Christy Pratt, and I'm an educational assistant at Devon Middle School. It is with great honor and a privilege that I get to introduce and share with you Dylan Lyons' story. I had the pleasure of working with and getting to know Dylan during his first 2 years of middle school. As with many students, entering middle school can be an anxious and overwhelming time, and for Dylan, it was just that. Grade 6 proved to be a year of challenges. He seemed very shy and quiet at first, and then it became evident that he was struggling with some social and academic issues. He was reluctant to accept any assistance at first, but with persistence, we were able to form a strong connection. At times, Dylan was non-compliant, disengaged, and exhibited a lack of confidence in himself. Certain tasks and situations proved frustrating, and it was a battle to complete what was being asked of him. The inability to communicate his feelings made Dylan simply shut down. You could see frustration surface, and he chose very colorful words to express himself. This behavior often led to office referrals, a phone call home to his parents, and even being removed from school. Luckily, Dylan had a great support system at home, and we were all able to work together. I was given the opportunity to transition into grade 7 with Dylan, and at the very beginning, I could tell there was a profound difference in him. He was more mature. He knew the school rules well now, and expectations of him were very clear. I think that he came to realization that I was there to help him in any way, as well as his teachers, and he seemed to be in general more comfortable at school. Situations that had frustrated Dylan in grade 6 no longer seemed as obvious. However, there were still rocky days and uncooperative behavior from him at times, but being removed from class, phone calls home, suspensions, and moments of animosity drastically faded. And now here he is in grade 8. Dylan has transformed himself into an independent, confident, hardworking, eager to learn student. He has learned skills on how to manage and conduct himself in an orderly and professional manner. He has a positive attitude in and out of the classroom. He is attentive, polite, and has positive interactions with staff and peers, speaks openly in class, participates, and asks for help when needed. Dylan is meeting with success in all his subjects. His teachers say that he is a pleasure to have in class, and works diligently to complete his assignments. It is stated that it is not our abilities that define us, but our choices. And Dylan, it is evident that you are making good, conscientious choices for yourself. You have overcome many barriers during the last 3 years at DMS and have shown admirable qualities to all those around you. You are a perfect example of how with drive and determination you can take control. It was a hands-down unanimous vote from the teachers of Devon Middle School to nominate you for the Turnaround Achievement Award this year. I'm so honored with this opportunity to accompany you here tonight and award you with this huge accomplishment. Winning this Turnaround Award is a true testament to Dylan's strengths, and we are all so proud of him. Congratulations. Accepting this award on Dylan's behalf is Devon Middle School's principal, Gary Gallant.
And our next student recipient is Shelby McDonald, grade 12 student at Fredericton High School, and here to present the award is Beth Wright, Methods and Resource.
Good evening. Shelby McDonald is the daughter of very proud parents, Doug and Tracy. Shelby arrived at Fredericton High School 4 years ago. And when she arrived, she came to me as her methods and resource teacher as a modified student. And she said to me in grade 9, she said, I want a career. I know what I want to do. And I thought, okay, you're in grade 9 and I'm sure you do know what you want to do. But she realized herself that being a modified student, her career goals were not within reach. So she said, how do we do this? So together we set off on a plan. She worked herself off a modified program. She did it. I helped her set it up. She did the work. She's got herself in grade 12, where she's even doing level 2 science courses. Shelby next year is going to MBCC. She's going to be a licensed practical nurse. She works extremely hard. Her attendance has been excellent. She's very quiet, and she gets things done on time and with no fanfare. It has to be done, it gets done. She's not afraid of challenges. She has taught herself that with hard work and a goal in sight, anything and everything is possible. She is a most deserving recipient of the Turnaround Achievement Award, and one of the reasons that makes my job very, very enjoyable to go to every day. Congratulations, Shelby. Shelby asked me to make special mention and thanks to her very supportive parents who've been there all through her schooling and continue to support her, and to also thank the many teachers at Fredericton High School who have spent countless hours with her to help her achieve her goal. Thank you.
Our next recipient, also of Fredericton High School, Ashley Dimitri, and here to present, Diane Langille, Methods and Resource.
This is Ashley Dimitri, a grade 12 student at Fredericton High School. I first met Ashley just last year when she was in grade 11. So in order to give her this award, I had to do some research and ask some other teachers about what she was like when she first came to Fredericton High School. And she didn't have a lot of enthusiasm for school when she first came to school in grade 9. A little bit of attitude. But over the years, she's really becoming a really mature young lady and doing better academically. The first day I met her was my first day as a resource teacher at Fredericton High School. And she came into my office with a few choice words of her science teacher. And I said, welcome to Fredericton High School Resource. So we worked together, and I have a speech that I never ever read from when I get up to do these things. So this year, Ashley's teachers have said that she's a pleasure to have in class. She is organized, works well, has a positive attitude. She has become a mature young lady. Ashley will graduate this June with plans to attend the Majestany Institute to specialize in aesthetics. With this newfound interest in learning, Ashley will do well in all her future endeavors. Congratulations on the Turnaround Achievement Award, Ashley.
Our next recipient is Brianna Solomon, grade 12 student at Fredericton High School, and here to present, Rick Hull.
I don't know which of the two of us is more nervous tonight, the student or the teacher there, but I think it's kind of good that we share these experiences together. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, friends and parents, and Turnaround Award recipients, I take great pleasure in presenting Miss Brianna Solomon as a deserving recipient of a Turnaround Achievement Award this evening. This has been a fantastic spring for her. She was just recently awarded the Unsung Hero Award for her contributions to the varsity Lady Black Cats hockey team. This also represents the second consecutive year she has been so recognized with this award. My first introduction to Miss Solomon was during the first semester of this school year when she was enrolled in Writing 11-0. At the start of the school year, in a large high school especially, it is a challenge to get to know students. And it is more challenging when absenteeism becomes a problem. It seemed Brianna was not stick-handling her way through the school system as well as she could. In the early spring, she was frequently called to the penalty box, aka the vice principal's office. Yet, when she did show up at the rink, aka the classroom, she played her position well. All assignments were submitted by the due date, but it did seem they were rushed and opportunities to score squandered. Yet, a new trend that I cannot entirely account for began to emerge. She was showing up for practice at the rink on a daily basis. No longer playing defense, she took possession of the puck and smoothly transitioned to playing offense, where she was always in control of the play. Consistency resulted in a greater skill set being applied to the classroom. Assignments no longer demonstrated the most direct and most hastily considered routes, but those that were more deliberate and executed with greater finesse and determination. Much like the Canadian women's hockey team at the Sochi Olympics. Let's remember that. It seems the same quality and determination she brought to the game of hockey were now being applied in other areas of her life. The captain of the Lady Black Cats varsity hockey team, Miss Katie Stiles, speaks enthusiastically of her teammate. Both cracked the varsity lineup when they were only in grade 9. Miss Stiles notes whenever Brianna stepped onto the ice, she intimidated opponents with her speed and willingness to take up for her teammates. Miss Solomon has her sights set on St. Thomas University next year. The only penalty box you will ever see will be at a real rink. And as she begins potting goals for Stu next year, she will be working towards achieving important life goals. Again, it is the greatest pleasure to recognize Miss Brianna Solomon as a deserving recipient of a Turnaround Achievement Award. In the midst of an audience that include her mother, Star Smith, and her very involved grandparents, Michael and Laura Solomon, this has been a real privilege to be a part of this evening. I can learn some stick handling from this one.
First, I'd like to thank Mr. Hall for nominating me. It really means a lot and feels so great to be recognized and awarded for the change and effort I've put into my life. I'd also like to thank my family for always being there for me to fall back on. And I'd like to say a special thanks to my papa. Since day one, he's been loving, supportive, and encouraging me to be the best I can be. And I know I wouldn't be where I am today without him. I thank him for everything he's done for me, and he does do everything for me.
I'd now call upon Phoenix Sabatis, grade 8 student at George Street Middle School, to come to the stage to receive a Turnaround Achievement Award by Megan Young Jones, who is a Kingsclear First Nation literacy teacher.
I have known Phoenix Sabatis for 3 years, since she arrived at George Street Middle School in grade 6. Grade 6 was not the easiest transition year for Phoenix. She had given up that year and was unmotivated to succeed on any level. Thankfully, things improved in grade 7, and this year, in grade 8, she arrived with a completely new outlook and attitude. In September, we were met with a girl who was self-motivated. She stays on top of her assignments, gathers missed schoolwork, and gives up her own lunch hours and free time to get caught up. I'm just going to repeat that for those of you who are educators in the room and realize what a big deal it is for a 14-year-old girl to give up her free time and lunch hours to stay caught up on her work. Phoenix is wise beyond her 14 years. She takes a stand, is passionate of her beliefs, and is unwavering in her resolve. This attitude has placed her as a leader amongst her peers, someone who they respect, admire, and often turn to in times of need. Phoenix attributes her change in attitude to her discovery of literature and writing. One teacher said of her writing, "Phoenix is a remarkable talent. Her writing is insightful, honest, and powerful. When I read Phoenix's work, I am immediately transported into her world. I can feel, see, hear, and taste everything she describes. Her images are so sharp, they startle me and make me take notice. She is truly a gifted writer." Earlier today, coincidentally, it couldn't have happened at a better time, Phoenix was working on a letter to S.E. Hinton, explaining how her novel, The Outsiders, made her reflect on her life and her decisions. So when she was 11 years old, she read this book, and it was life-altering for her. And I just chose a little excerpt, and with her permission, have asked if I can read it today. "I learned from your book that I couldn't let fear consume me, and I had to do something about it. If it wasn't for your book, The Outsiders, I think I would still be locked in my dusky room and not even making an attempt to try and go to school. I am now in grade 8, getting the Turnaround Award, and am doing better than I have ever done in school before. I realized all my faults, and thanks to you, I changed them all." Without realizing it, Phoenix has set an example for other students in her community that you can start fresh. That despite decisions you've made in the past, you can move forward and you have control over the future you mold for yourself. I, for one, continue to be impressed by her determination, wisdom, maturity, and her ability to pick herself up and come back better than before. I am looking forward to see where this talented, fierce young lady will go in her future, as I know the possibilities for her are endless, and she can and will make a difference in our world. On behalf of George Street Middle School, I am so pleased to be awarding Phoenix Sabatis the Turnaround Achievement Award.
I'd like to thank the teachers at George Street and my parents and my family.
Gosh, I think these awards are so appropriately named. Turnaround Achievement Award. What great stories we're hearing tonight. Our next award recipient is Maggie Smith, grade 8 student at Harold Peterson Middle School, and here to present, Beth Young, Methods and Resource.
Good evening to all of you. This is Maggie Smith from Harold Peterson, grade 8 student. Maggie faces many challenges each day as she comes to school. She has Chard syndrome, which has ear defects, heart defects, growth problems, sight problems, and some mobility issues. When Maggie first came to us at the beginning of grade 6, she came from the little school of Gary into a much bigger school, a much bigger environment with more students. She was very quiet and shy, and she required a lot of support. She had a full-time EA, she had an APSI interpreter in every class, as well as 4 hours weekly she met one-on-one with the APSI itinerant worker for language programming. She had to have close monitoring in the hall. She needed an adult to hold her hand when other students were there. You know what it's like at middle school, going down the hall. Sometimes we would get her to leave class early to make sure it wasn't too crowded for her. Maggie rarely interacted with her peers in grade 6. She was still very shy and not used to the school. And she often she found the days longer than elementary, it seemed, and she would often have a rest. After lunch, we had a bed for her in the resource room, and she did sometimes have a seizure, and that was a place for her to rest as well. In grade 7, though, Maggie started to interact more with her peers and to communicate and to become more independent. By the end of grade 7, it was decided she did not need the APSI interpreter in class. The EA was able to help her without the use of that, an extra person there to help her. And she started working on her independence and her communication skills with her peers and teachers. And the EAs used to almost fight over Maggie. They'd say, well, am I working with Maggie next year, or will I be able to work with Maggie next year? Because everybody wanted to work with Maggie. It was such a pleasure to help her with her academics and her skills. Now when you would see Maggie this year, especially since Christmas, she chats with her peers at noon in the lunchroom. If she's in the resource room or somewhere else on her tuition break, she's talking with her friends. She'll engage in a conversation when you approach her in the hall. She'll stop and smile and talk to you. Most of the time she's walking with her peers now in the hall. The EA's somewhere back there just in case she's needed. She goes to all her classes. She independently uses her locker in the morning to prepare and get ready for the day and at the end of the day. And overall, she has certainly increased her responsibility for her own learning and is a valued member of her Class 8A. And Maggie's going to be missed as she leaves HP as she goes to high school, which is going to be another big adventure for her. But I know she's certainly going to meet those challenges. So it's my pleasure to give this award to Maggie. Congratulations, Maggie. I asked Maggie if she wanted to speak, but she declined.
Our next recipient goes by the name of Mitchell Grandy, grade 12 student at Leo Hayes High School, and here to present his award, Deborah Catarini.
Good evening. It's with great pleasure that I introduce Mitchell Grandy. I've had the pleasure of being Mitchell's resource teacher for the past 4 years at Leo Hayes High School. When Mitchell first started in grade 9, he was a very different young man than you see standing up here today. Honestly, I wasn't sure that he was going to make it through high school. He had some pretty serious behavior issues that didn't jive well with the school system. He started out attending school 1 hour a day, alternating days, and even that was a struggle. He didn't quite make it to June that year, but even back then, I had the sense that he wanted things to change, but he just didn't know how to make that happen. Grade 10 continued to be a struggle. Although by this time, Mitchell was articulating that he wanted to attend school full days, he still didn't have the supports in place to make that happen. Grade 11 was the tipping point for Mitchell. His family had always been very supportive, but when the Priestman Street Treatment Center got involved, his life really started to shift. Within a few months, I began to notice subtle changes in Mitchell. He was more focused, less anxious, and his behavior improved daily. It was a very positive year. Grade 12 has been an amazing year. Mitchell came back from summer vacation 60 pounds lighter, more focused, and more determined than ever to do whatever it takes to meet his goals. Mitchell, your determination and perseverance has helped you overcome many obstacles. Whether you pursue community college or go directly into the workforce, I have no doubt that you will continue on your path to lead a healthy and happy lifestyle. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to get to know the real you. You're a very kind, gentle soul and a true example of why it's so important to never give up on anybody. I wish you all the best in whatever you choose to do. You really deserve this award, Mitch.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I just want to say thanks to my teachers, my family, and the staff that have helped me throughout the years.
And I'll just add a word or two to that. I went to school with Deb, and I just want to applaud all of you who have pursued a career as an educator, because you are really in the right jobs, it's obvious, and the fact that you're making a difference in the lives of people really counts, and I applaud you for that. Our next recipient is Courtney Sturge of Leo Hayes High School, and here to present the award is Joseph Brennan, guidance counselor.
As I reflect upon Courtney's journey through high school and consider what I've come to understand of her life prior to her arrival, and what has she experienced and managed to overcome over the past 4 years, I'm genuinely in awe of her resilience, commitment, and accomplishment brings her on the verge of graduating this June. Many, having to deal with far, far less, have not been able to find it within themselves to fight the odds, not give up, try to make the right decisions, and learn from their mistakes, as Courtney has. The journey has been difficult for her and fraught with physical as well as emotional challenges, loss, periods of despair. Simply giving up became a constant companion as challenges mounted, one upon another. Yet she found it within herself to persevere, to refuse defeat, to accept life's challenges, and find a way to deal with them. Courtney has overcome odds that many would have found insurmountable, and has managed to maintain an I-can-do attitude that is truly a wonder to behold. Although we've had our differences of opinion, and there have been many times we've locked horns, Courtney has always been able to find it within herself to reflect and accept responsibility for her actions. This is not an easy thing for many, yet Courtney has come to understand the critical need for accountability. This is a young lady who epitomizes what the Turnaround Achievement Award is all about: to overcome adversity through effort, commitment, and perseverance, and thus redirect their lives towards a productive future. For Courtney, that future is coming closer to reality as she's been accepted at the Atlantic Hairstyling Academy, which she will begin in September. And if I had more hair, she'd be my stylist for sure. I'm very proud of what Courtney has accomplished, and I'm honored and privileged to be here tonight to see her receive this award.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan, for everything you've done for me. Your famous words, "You can do it," even when I said I couldn't, never seemed to fail. Thank you to my best friend, Melissa, for being my rock when things were tough. You've shown me to truly stand up for myself and not let people walk all over me. Thank you, Mom, for making our relationship stronger and showing me that sometimes I have to do things on my own to learn right from wrong. When I was told I was nominated for this award, all I could think was if someone may deserve it more. I thought a little harder about it and realized maybe I do deserve it. I put up one hell of a fight to turn my life around and make it how I picture it. My number one motivation would be my father. Throughout all the mistakes, tears, and being down and out, he was always there with me. Tomorrow marks 16 years of my father being gone, and I know he's smiling down on me. So here it comes, graduation. I'm glad to finally say and make my dad proud.
Words are a little blurry all of a sudden. Calvin Charette of grade 12 is our next award recipient of Macadam High School. And here to present the award is Sarah Lamont, Guidance, and Amy LeBlanc, Methods and Resource.
Good evening, I'm Sarah Lamont.
And I am Amy LeBlanc. When we chose Calvin to be the Turnaround Achievement recipient, we started inquiring with staff, past and present, to see if they had stories to share. One person who had a significant impact on Calvin is Joelle Gillespie, former guidance counselor at Macadam High School. Here is what she shared with us.
I remember first meeting Calvin in middle school. He was shy and quiet and never posed any problems in the classroom. Calvin did not show a lot of confidence, but I could tell he had a sense of humor hidden behind his quiet personality. As the years went by, Calvin's grin seemed to fade, and he came to school less and less. When he was there, he didn't seem to care. He had no focus. He couldn't figure out why he should be in school. It held no purpose for him. On those days he did show up, he looked like he had been dragged to school. His hair was sticking up everywhere, and he was barely awake. Through many conversations, Calvin agreed he would do his best to graduate, and it became tied to a crystal ball. Literally. My mother-in-law had given me a crystal ball paperweight. Calvin has wanted to see what's inside of it for years. I told him it would be his on graduation day. In only a few months, it will be his, and I hope he is enchanted by what it holds within. You see, Calvin is like that crystal ball. You've just got to get to know what's inside. Calvin is a kind, considerate young man. He has a calming effect on others and such a great sense of humor. Now that you've seen what you can achieve, I hope you will continue to reach for more. I am so glad your grin is back, Calvin. I'm very proud of you.
Now for our stories. I had the honor of teaching Calvin grade 11 language arts, and I can remember the first time meeting Calvin in class. He chose to sit at the back of the class and seemed to be disengaged. Going over my expectations for the class, I made reference to attendance. And I heard from the back of the class, "I never came once in the morning in grade 10, so don't expect to see me here." I don't think he realized that I heard him, and maybe from this day, or right now, he still doesn't know. That was a pivotal point for me as a teacher, and as attendance in my class became my goal. Forward ahead to the last 3 months of that same school year, and you would see a student sitting at a computer, 8:30 at night, still working on editing his group's video. Calvin seemed to find his niche in video and audio production and really puts himself out there. He even ended up winning the Best Editor Award at the What's Up Doc Film Festival.
I met Calvin for the first time 4 years ago when I was supply teaching. I didn't have much interaction with him at that point, but there were a couple of days when he would come and sit in Mrs. Gillespie's office and talk to me. I left Macadam High to accept a position at another school, and I returned last year and had the opportunity to teach Calvin. At the beginning of the course, he would sit and talk to friends that I felt were of negative influence for him. He wasn't really engaged in the class. I could tell that Calvin was not applying himself, but came to realize the potential that he had when he began answering class discussion questions. There were many times when I couldn't answer his inquiries. The quality and depth of his questions stumped me. I remember thinking to myself one day, man, this kid is smart. Fast forward a year, Calvin has a wonderful group of friends, and he comes to visit me daily to chat in my office, and I hope it's to visit me, not just his crystal ball. And my office is Mrs. Gillespie's former office.
Our staff is very proud to present this award to Calvin, a wonderful young man who has in the past few years made better decisions in all areas of his life. Calvin has applied himself to his studies with regular attendance and has post-secondary goals which we know he is capable of achieving at the Center for Arts and Technology. We wish him the best of luck in all to come.
I was told the least amount I'm allowed to say is thank you, so thanks. And in all seriousness, I would also like to congratulate my other fellow recipients. And as a great man once said, I would also like to thank my fellow recipients.
And our next student recipient is Julian Sinnott. He attends Minto Memorial High School, and here to present the award is Brian Nash, shop teacher.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. I'm very honored to present this to Julian tonight. I'll tell you a little story about Julian. I have many, but they gave me one to tell. I get my glasses on here. Julian came to Minto Memorial High School in 2010 and brought with him a general attitude that school was not for him. Julian found many ways and excuses to get out of work. He would often leave school in anger when frustrated, and he was very defensive when addressed by teachers. Many of the conversations between Julian and teachers or Julian and administration were not very pleasant. His attendance and academic success were being negatively impacted by his general attitude. He was often quick to react. He did not think about things before he spoke and often chose to leave school rather than problem solve. Julian faced detentions and suspensions for many of his choices. Julian's teachers and his family worked hard to support him, but he put up a great deal of resistance. There were slight improvements throughout the first 3 years, but those who cared about Julian were concerned for his future. Everyone knew that Julian was very capable, and we knew how intelligent and skilled that he was. He was often told that he was not working to his potential. Then in September of 2013, a new Julian crossed the threshold of our school. This new Julian is on time, he attends regularly, is engaged in his classes, and is respectful to his teachers and fellow students, and now has grades in the 80s instead of the once acceptable 60%. MMHS is so proud of Julian for his transformation and have every confidence that he will be successful in the future. Thank you, Julian, for your turnaround. You are a fine example for students who struggle to see the value of school and for those who put up resistance towards those who care. I am happy to have been your teacher, and I really, really am, and to get to know you. You are a fine young man with a successful future ahead of you. Congratulations. I also like to just one more thing. Julian and I think, were meant to do this because we seem to meet every day when he slides down that banister. Every day. Anyway, congratulations, Julian. It's an honor.
Well, thanks for the honor for this award, and just like to say, before I made my turnaround, my attitude towards school was really bad. I didn't like it at all, and I thought that I didn't have to go, and attending school just didn't matter to me at all. But about a year ago, I had a shift in thinking. Don't know why I completely did it, but my attitude changed, and I think it might have been because the people around me cared and believed I could do better. So I decided to try it for myself too. Mom and Dad always encouraged me, even when I was having a really rough time. I decided to start attending regularly, and decided that it was going to be better for my future if I got higher averages and lower averages. And I'd just like to thank all the people who helped me through high school. I'd like to thank my teachers for putting up with me through my angry moments, I like to call them. And for my mom for getting me up in the school in the morning when I really didn't want to. And I'd like to thank Kingswood and MMHS for honoring me for this award. Thank you. Oh, I'm dropping stuff.
All Our next student recipient is Kyle Ettinger, grade 8 student at Nashwaaksis Middle School, and here to present is Stephanie Wilson, language arts teacher.
Very. Good evening. I first met Kyle when he entered my grade 8 language arts class at Nashwaaksis Middle School. And I quickly realized he was a student who did no work at all. He would sit solemnly, very down, often frustrated, sometimes angry, at his teachers, at the world, at himself. Who knew? When asked why he wouldn't work, he said he couldn't do it. He said it was because he was stupid. Kyle hardly ever said anything to anyone. He did not participate in class discussions. He wouldn't even chat with anyone before or after class. No matter what his teachers tried, breaking the assignment into shorter parts, encouraging him, trying to make some kind of connection with him, even threats of detention, nothing worked. This was the Kyle we saw from September to January and February. The only thing he seemed to enjoy was a book he had found called The Lightning Thief, which he would hide in his desk and read when he was supposed to be doing his work. He would read that, ignoring the ever-growing list of assignments that he owed his teachers. Then all of a sudden, seemingly overnight, Kyle started to change. When he completed just a minimal amount of work, his teachers would praise him, telling him, "See, buddy, you can do this. This is no problem for you." And he finally started to smile. He started to chat, be friendly with everyone. He would put his hand up to answer questions. Before class, Kyle would impress both his peers and his teachers with his knowledge of everything from history to technology and from mythology to Roman numerals. In fact, one of Kyle's classmates just today, and so I added this to my speech, told me that Kyle is so good at math that once when he finished his work early, he entertained himself by apparently writing out the numbers 1 to 700 in Roman numerals down the side of his paper. When I asked Kyle today if it was true, he said yes, and it was actually 748 to be exact. And he also answered an entire worksheet in Roman numerals so no one could cheat off him. He said with a smile. This impressive feat has gained Kyle a few fans amongst his classmates and has also prompted one of his teachers, who will remain nameless, to tell Kyle, "You know the weirdest things." He said that with a smile, of course. And that one book, The Lightning Thief, that hooked him on reading, he's finished all 5 books in the series and is now on to the second series, The Heroes of Olympus. To an English teacher such as myself, this avid pursuit and obvious love of reading, even though he got in trouble for reading it in his desk, especially finding a particular genre that you're passionate about, is just the icing on an already impressive cake that's the new Kyle. The most impressive part of Kyle's transformation is not what he knows incidentally, but it's his newfound determination, positive attitude, and even more importantly, his ever-growing confidence in himself. Kyle has become not only determined, happy, and confident in the classroom, he's become downright passionate about working. Instead of being one of the last students to enter the room, dragging his feet to his seat, slouching and scowling through most of the period, he's now one of the first ones in the door with his head held high and his chest out, and he sits straight up and opens his binder and he gets right to work. And he doesn't stop till the end of the period. As one day turns into the next, the new and improved Kyle keeps at it, not wavering at all from his new and impressive work ethic. At our team meetings, Kyle's teachers went from expressing concern over what are we going to do with this poor boy, to expressing our pride and excitement over his sudden and promising transformation. In my 15 years plus of teaching, I've never had the privilege of witnessing such a huge positive turnaround in a student. To see a child so down on himself and so turned against himself that he was afraid to even try, and then out of nowhere become alive and do the work to please, to impress, to prove something to the world and his teachers and to himself. It's one of the greatest moments of a teaching career. Kyle's amazing turnaround has not only inspired me as a teacher, but also as a person in some personal ways I won't get into today. To me and Kyle's other teachers, Kyle is the definition of a Turnaround Achievement Award recipient. His accomplishment is not just simply getting caught up on his overdue work. I believe he's turned his life around and set himself on a positive road to a future with endless possibilities. And in the process has inspired those around him. Congratulations, Kyle. You deserve it.
I'd like to say thank you to my teachers and my parents for supporting me through this.
Our next award recipient is Blair Magionis, grade 12 student at Ormuckto High School, and here to present is Judy Pierce Kavanaugh.
I would like to begin by thanking Kingswood for this wonderful event. It's my third time attending, and each time I come away feeling blessed. I have to begin with a story. A number of years ago, I was teaching a class at UNB. There was a young woman in the class who always wore exercise clothing and looked incredibly toned and fit. As the term went on, the class was asked to write an essay. This young woman wrote about a time period in her life when she weighed 300 pounds. It was difficult for me to picture her as anything other than the slim, toned young woman I saw before me each day. I had not been aware of the hard work, determination, and daily decisions this young woman had made to lose 160 pounds. And so it is when it comes to my knowledge of Blair. When it comes to the Turnaround Achievement Awards, we usually hear about the student before they made profound changes in their life. I'm going to have to approach this introduction from a slightly different perspective. I first met Blair in September of this year. He was in my psychology and sociology classes. This is who I met: a kind, polite young man who had a sweet, lopsided grin and a twinkle in his eyes as he would tease me about certain things that we agreed yesterday would remain unsaid this evening. He was generous to others in the classroom and a friend to all. I saw an authentic, easygoing young man who clearly took me at my word when I said at the beginning of the year, "It's not my classroom, it's our classroom." I know this because I started to see that he was using the back counter in the classroom as his personal office. Each day I would find binders, coats, and personal belongings with his name on them. He was always the first person to pass in any assignments, and they were extremely well done. And then one day I got a further glimpse into his character. One day in October, my favorite aunt had passed away, and I told my class I'd be out for a few days and why I would be out. As I was walking towards my car that evening, I heard my name being called. I turned to see Blair in his football uniform walking off the practice field. He came over and said, "Mrs. Kavanaugh, I just wanted to tell you how sorry I am about your aunt's passing. It's difficult to lose people we care about." I was touched by his considerate manner and his straightforward, kind, honest approach. In this moment, I was thinking, he's a delight in the classroom, a football player, a well-rounded student athlete. Clearly, he's one of those kids who have it all going for him. From there, I asked about football, and he talked about his love of the game. And with that, I drove home thinking, what a great kid. About a week later, I assigned a project to my psychology class. The premise of the project was a visual representation of who they are, and then a write-up explaining the visual, while also carefully considering what led them to be who they are. As they worked on this project, Blair and I had the following conversation. He said, "I'm not sure who I am, but I do know who I'm not." And then his story tumbled out. He told me that before this year, he seldom attended classes because he was preoccupied with other things that were not good for him. Of course, I couldn't let Blair know that I was surprised by this news because I had assumed he was always the reliable student I'd come to know. I asked, "What caused you to make the changes?" He said, "I spent last summer away from Ormuckto." He laughed and said, My mom told me we were going to Nova Scotia to visit my uncle, and after we got there, she told me she was going home and I'd be staying there a while longer. He talked about looking at the stars through his uncle's telescope and how he started to look at things from a different perspective, even though it was difficult sometimes. He said his uncle showed him positivity and a vision of the world he hadn't considered before. Blair decided he was responsible for his own life and understood he had to make decisions as to what he was going to make of his life. Blair made the decision to start attending school on a regular basis because he knew it would lead to a better future. When he got back to Oromocto, he changed some of his friendships because he recognized that although they were good people, they were not making the choices he had decided to make. He said he became honest with himself, did not like what he saw, so he decided he could change, and that he could like who he was becoming. It seemed to me that he found hope in himself and decided he was worth fighting for. When class ended that day, I was again left with the thought, what a kid. I also thought he should be a candidate for the Turnaround Achievement Award, and now here we are. But just before I close, I need to share with you what a couple of my colleagues have had to say about Blair. Coach Wilson said, "He's been with me for the past 3 years. I've watched him develop into a leader on and off the field. He's well liked by his coaches and is respected by his teammates. As one of our captains, Blair has made a great effort to ensure all his teammates feel they're part of the team. I've watched him learn the importance of putting in the effort that's required to reach his goals. He's always been more than capable, and it's been a pleasure to watch him develop into a well-rounded individual." Mrs. Sanford said, "Blair has done so well this year compared to the past. I've taught him Chem 11, 12, and he's been in my homeroom for the last 3 years. I've watched him grow from an unhappy grade 10 student who didn't seem to care to a keen student who's a role model to others. He's so pleasant and positive this year that I can't believe I didn't think of him right away for this award. He exemplifies rising above a tough life, making bad choices, to making the decisions to learn from those choices and grow into a strong individual with a great future ahead. He's an awesome choice for this award." Finally, yesterday, Blair and I met for a few minutes to discuss tonight. At that point, he spoke about changing habits and what it takes to change one's habits. Now I ask you, have you ever met one of those people who have a habit of saying things that leave you feeling a deep sense of awe from what they say and who they are? In every encounter I've had with this young man, I walk away thinking, what a wonderful person. Said I wouldn't cry. Congratulations, Blair, on the positive changes you've made and on your bright future from all of us at Oromocto High School.
I would like to start by thanking all the people who helped me receive this award along the way. My 3 girls, my girlfriend, mother, and sister who unfortunately couldn't make it tonight because she had to work. Along with them, I'd like to thank my family, former coaches, and last but not least, Ms. Cavanaugh, for nominating me as a candidate. I'm very honored to have been chosen and given the chance to represent Oromocto High School. You've all played a special part in me turning my life around, and for that I'm truly grateful. The love, respect, learning skills, and sometimes patience you gave me helped me break bad habits and get back on track. I couldn't have done it without all of you, and I wouldn't be able to pick a better people to do it with. Next, I'd like to congratulate all the award recipients here, and to those who weren't able to make it, like my offensive lineman Daniel Brochu, who unfortunately had to travel out west this morning. Before Daniel left, however, he had a chance to speak, we had a chance to speak, and we both agreed that being involved in sports had helped us attend school and overall succeed this year. I'd like to finish by again stating how honored I am for this award and how thankful I am for the people who supported me. This life is a game, and I couldn't have done it without my team.
Our next award recipient is Jessie Sabatis, grade 12 student at Oromocto High School, and here to present is Laura Kendall, teacher.
I have to apologize. I have an awful cough, and I hope it doesn't get the best of me here, but Bag of tricks, just a second. So, my name is Laura Kendall, or Mrs. Kendall, as Jesse knows me. And I'm a teacher at Armagh High School, and this is the Jesse Sabatis. I thought I'd start off this evening talking about what we have in common. Because I think, don't you think? We look like we have a lot in common. So, the first thing I think we have in common is our gorgeous hair. I think we both have long, luscious hair, so that's something good to have in common. I think another thing we have in common is our ability to be intimidating when we want to be. I also think we both have many suspensions in common, though I do believe I'm probably on a different end than Jesse. With that said, we also have a lot of things that are not common. There are a lot of differences between the two of us, and I'm going to get to those a little later. I want to just explain to you how I met Jesse. Jesse came into my grade 9 English class. He was about the same size as he is right now, and sat down, and I thought, surely he was in the wrong classroom. But I came to find out that he was not. And I also found out very quickly that he had sort of a chip on his shoulder, if you will. I wanted to get to the bottom of it, because I think as teachers, that's what we want to do, right? We want to fix things. And I had a real need or desire to get to the bottom of why he had this attitude or this chip on his shoulder. I tried many different approaches, many different things, and every time I thought we were making a connection, you know, the next day, Jesse, there would be this wall again, and I felt like, okay, we're back to square one again. I'll just give you a couple of examples. In the grade 9 English class, we were publishing children's books, and we had to work very closely with students who were in kindergarten. And Jesse just refused. He did not like kids and wanted nothing to do with a 5-year-old and had no desire to read books to them or have them read books to him. So that was a bust. Another thing that I tried, which I'm not sure he'll be happy with me for mentioning this, but it's out there now. He, talking about this beautiful hair, I was trying again to make a connection with him and had just mentioned in passing, Jesse, have you ever had your hair straightened? And Jesse said no, and I said, would you ever let somebody straighten your hair? And to my surprise, he said yes. And so that afternoon, I'm sorry, Jesse, 2 of my female students and I straightened Jesse's hair. And I thought, I went home, you know, feeling like, okay, that was it. We made a connection, finally, the wall is down. And the next day, it was right back up again. It wasn't really until one day that we were doing a writing assignment, and I really can't remember exactly what the writing assignment was, but we were recounting something, an event in your life, and Jesse had asked me if he could write about his parents. And I really didn't know Jesse's background, and I said, sure, like, you know, and he had mentioned that his parents had passed. And I said, you know, Jesse, I'm really sorry to hear that. Do you mind if I ask, like, what happened? Because I was actually surprised that he had said both of his parents had passed. And that's when he had shared with me that he had tragically lost both of his parents in a car accident when he was younger. And so it just made me realize that that chip, there was a lot more to it. It wasn't, you know, as I thought. I started asking around at that point because I really, again, I was trying to like really figure him out, and like I wanted him to let me in. I really liked him. I didn't think he liked me very much, but I really, there was something about him that I just adored, and I felt like I had a connection with him, but I wasn't so sure that it was reciprocated. So I'm going on. So after talking to some of the other adults in his life, I realized, you know, he had bounced around from different foster homes, and he really hadn't had an easy upbringing. I then ended up going away. I had a baby and went out on mat leave last year, so I lost connection. And it wasn't until I came back after maternity leave this year that I ran into Jesse in the hall, and he was with a friend of his, and there was something different, and I can't tell you what it was. It was like how he walked. That's really all I know. And then when he spoke, I knew there was definitely something different. He said that, you know, I said, "How are you doing, Jesse?" And he said, "Oh, good." And him and his friend had asked, did I have a boy or a girl? And I said, well, I had a little girl. And actually, I know that was a short conversation, but I was shocked that he had asked about that. And so I went to the OFN room. I was dealing with another student, and the OFN room is the Ormuktus First Nation room in our school. And Jesse, at that point, had offered to help another student that I was dealing with to work on this project in his free time. And I knew at that point that something really had changed with Jesse Sabattis, because he would never have previously offered to help anyone, especially during his own free time. So I wanted to, this award came up, or nominations for this award, and I thought about Jesse right away and decided I'd ask teachers who had been teaching him from the past 2 years how they felt. And this is just some of the things that they had to say. I had the privilege of mentoring Jesse and his brother. We butted heads a few times. About 10 years later, I was reunited with him, and seeing how he interacts with other students, I was absolutely blown away with the young man that he has become. His level of maturity and respect are above all others, and he is a leader among our First Nation students. Another thing that makes Jesse stand out is his thirst for knowledge. He is very intelligent and seems to know a little bit about everything. I often find myself turning to him for answers, and that's an educator. I am so proud of Jesse. I truly respect him and look up to him. Someone else said, "I love that kid." Someone else said, "Turnaround achievement." I couldn't think of anyone more deserving. I asked his brother, in one line, what could he say about his brother? And Frank, his younger brother, said, "When I see Jesse, I don't see a struggle for acceptance. He can be himself no matter what." And I thought that was a great compliment. So I said at the beginning that I would talk a little bit about differences. So I just want to say that one visual difference is how we dress. And when I met Jesse, he was wearing a jean vest. I don't know if it was just this jean vest, but it was. So he was been wearing this jean vest. And this is Jesse's thing. So previous to coming here tonight, we had talked about, you know, how people dress and how you should maybe present yourself. And I was actually surprised this morning. Jesse told me he had gone out and purchased some new clothing, and it got me to thinking that this is Jesse Sabattis. He doesn't usually conform. So I knew there was a change as well. And not only that, but he's so unique. He's unique, and I really like what Frank said about him. He really doesn't care what people think of him because he's so unique and he's his own person. So I think that I'm going to meet you halfway. You are unique in every sense of the word, and I am so very proud of you. I just want to tell you one more difference. That is, I'm a very emotional person, and Jesse may not be. But I want you to know that, if you haven't realized it already, I've learned so much from you. You have taught me more than you could ever imagine about being a good person and what that means. Not only am I proud of you, and I'm honored to be giving you this award, but I can say without a doubt that I know your parents are extremely proud of you, Jessie. So with that, I'd like you to help me in congratulating Jessie Sabat.
I got nothing to say.
Our next recipient, Gordon Russin, grade 8 student at Ridgeview Middle School, and here to present is Heidi Muse, teacher, and I believe Trish Hanscom as well will be presenting. She too is a teacher at Ridgeview Middle School.
Hi, I'm Trish Hanscom. This is Heidi Muse, and this wonderful young man next to us is Gordon Russin. Have you ever met that person that no one has a bad thing to say about? That person is Gordon Russin. Few students could remain as positive as he has, living through the mental and physical challenges he did. As classroom teachers, we've had the pleasure to teach this young man multiple times during his middle school years.
Gordon suffered a traumatic crush injury before grade 6, resulting in the amputation of his thumb, which was then placed by one of his toes. There was a lot of physical therapy and retraining of his hand to accommodate his new thumb. Coupled with his existing academic struggles, Gordon had a difficult time at school. In grade 6, he hyper-focused on his thumb and what others thought. His biggest fear was looking different from his classmates and not being able to keep up with the work. He struggled to focus on his schoolwork and had anxiety about attracting any form of attention. He was worried about what others thought when he used assisted technology, yet he was dependent on it. Because of this anxiety, he missed a lot of time at school. However, he really wanted to be there. It was a constant struggle for him.
Now in grade 8, Gordon has turned everything around. Gordon is one of the most popular students in grade 8. Because of his anxiety and previous struggles, he's developed empathy. He's genuine, he treats everyone with kindness, and includes everyone. It's safe to say that he has come out of his shell. He can do all of his work on his own and does not require assisted technology anymore. He has super neat penmanship, which in itself is a huge accomplishment.
Gordon has had an amazing support group around him. When we asked his mom, Amy, who should be invited to attend this ceremony tonight, she stated, myself, his father, and his brother Ryan, because we all went through this together. It's because of this family support that he has been able to overcome his circumstances. His younger brother Ryan looks up to him, and Gordon makes a wonderful role model.
When the teachers at our school sat down to decide who was the most deserving student in our school to receive the Turnaround Award, everyone said Gordon Russin. Teachers that taught Gordon in grade 6 are so pleased to see that Gordon has turned into a typical teenager who is just a fantastic kid to have around. We would gladly have Gordon in any of our classes. He hasn't let his past circumstances dictate his future.
Gordon, you're a great kid. You've accomplished so much, and we are so proud of you. We wish you all the best in high school, and we will miss you. Congratulations, Gordon. Do you have something to say? Thank you.
Our next recipient is Grant Logan, a grade 12 student at Stanley High School, and here to present is Anthony Noletti.
This microphone's at a suitable height for me. I'm really pleased about that. So my name's Anthony Noletti. I'm a science and math teacher at Stanley High School, and I've only been there for 2 years. So when the staff meeting came about where we had to choose a turnaround recipient, I thought, okay, I don't know much of these students' histories, but I know students who really exemplify what the small community of Stanley is all about. And I'm not from Stanley, but being there for 2 years, it really has a culture of its own, and there's many people who are there who are making that a great place. And I thought, okay, Grant Logan. And I said that name, and I said, I don't really know his history. I don't know if he's really turned around as much as I've seen in the last 2 years, which he has. Are there other deserving candidates? But as I was thinking that, I heard teachers say, that Grant Logan in elementary school, in middle school, he wrote letters to the district saying, I don't think this curriculum is right for me. So I was thinking, you know what, that does sound a little bit like Grant. But at the same time, I heard stories of Grant walking around the school hallways with a dark cloud over his head, and he wasn't a very positive student, I heard. And from that till now, it's just complete night and day. It's just been a pleasure every day to be a teacher of Grant Logan. So I prepared a little speech here. I'm very pleased to be supporting Grant Logan at tonight's ceremony. Despite only teaching him for 2 years, I've had the pleasure of witnessing a tremendous amount of positive growth in Grant's personality and academics. Grant Logan has become a key member to Stanley High School, as well as the community of Stanley. He happily offers his impressive technological skills and academic abilities to staff, students, and members of the community. During that meeting that we decided Grant was a very deserving candidate, I had asked the staff, who here has never been helped by Grant Logan? And nobody could say no. Everyone in the school, students and staff alike, have all been helped by Grant. He just has a tremendous skill set that he's really given to offer to everyone in the school. Although he has been assigned a special seat next to the teacher within my classroom, Grant really does offer a vast array of useful facts and opinions that elicit interesting and pertinent discussion amongst students. His revised work ethic has even led to the achievement of a high honors average in his final years of high school and accumulation of many scholarships from post-secondary institutions. However, it really is Grant's character development within his years in public education that is to envy the most. Grant has become a positive, selfless, compassionate, and hardworking young man with whom we are all extremely proud to call one of our own at Stanley High School. We are very, very proud of Grant, and we are very excited to see what's to come. And I know from years to come, we're going to hear great things about Grant. And I'd like to say thank you to his parents, because we would all be very fortunate to one day have, well, for someone young like me, to have a son just like Grant. So thank you very much. Congratulations.
I'd like to thank my parents, Donna Lynn and Chris Logan, for supporting me in pursuing post-secondary education. I'd like to thank Mr. Noletti for offering support and motivation with regards to academics, and to the staff of Stanley High School for nominating me for this award and for their support. Thank you.
Now, our last and final recipient this evening is named Jackson Brewer. He is a grade 8 student at Stanley High School, and here to present his award is Brandon LeBlanc.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure and honor to be chosen to stand here with Jackson on a special occasion. I prepared a few words to say for him on his behalf on a wonderful occasion such as this. Thank you. And I promised him that I'd try to keep the jokes to a minimum. Yeah. So I met Jackson. Man, that light is awful bright, isn't it? I met Jackson a number of years ago. He was still in elementary school, and I was a new teacher myself. I had begun supply teaching and was fortunate to find myself out at Stanley often. And I remember him, and it's odd because, I mean, having supply taught so many students over the years, how did you remember one person out of everybody else? And I thought, well, there's two reasons. One, he was extremely, extremely quiet, and he never laughed at my jokes when I tried to break the ice. And he was also alphabetically very first in the class, so that made it even tougher to get to break the ice with the students. But a wonderful group of kids, and I was very fortunate a number of years later to be able to come back to Stanley and to revisit this group of kids, now grown up several years, and he's almost as tall as me, and it's remarkable to see the change that Jackson has taken since those early days. Jackson joined our school in September 2011. He was a very shy, very quiet, timid young boy. He sat in the back of the room. His binder and his books were often disorganized, and we can all relate to that, I suppose, in some way. But it occurred to us as a staff that his thoughts were very much like that too. He couldn't remember where he left his personal belongings often, including lunch bags, etc. While looking over his assignments, we were always concerned that Jackson would face some problems down the road. It was very difficult for him to write legibly. All of these were signs of somebody who was very, very unconfident in his abilities, and we could always see so much potential for him. When he went in to hand in his assignments, he wasn't sure where they were sometimes, and often he was found cleaning his lockers out, and then there suddenly was the missing assignment. Now, we've seen some remarkable change in this young man over the last several years. He's extremely polite. He is willing to go above and beyond the requirements of assignments and things that we do on a day-to-day basis at school. He is very organized. It's a complete turnaround in terms of how he has taken control of his own education and his own organization and his own discipline in terms of completing work. And that is carried over into all aspects of life at our school. He's very polite, he is organized, his assignments are always passed in on time. He's very willing to assist people, and I'm always pleased to see somebody who shows those leadership qualities that Jackson displays each and every day in our classroom, in our hallways, and even in our community as well. It's great to be able to hear him laugh, even when I tell bad jokes. Because we would never have heard that before, and it's really great to see him coming out of that shell and being confident in the strong and smart young man that he truly is. He is very compassionate. He is always willing to help out people in our class and in our school. He is always the first person to help put things away, to push in someone's chair for them, to hold the door. And everybody that knows Jackson knows this about him. If you ask any of his peers, they can speak, as I just have, on his character. It's been a real pleasure to have seen him at an early stage in his education and to now see him growing up into the fine, strong, and confident young man, not to mention a very sharp dresser, if I do say. Well done. It's a real pleasure, Jackson, to teach you and to work with you every day. I also have the privilege of having you in my homeroom as well as in our regular classes. So congratulations on this honor. You've earned it. You deserve it. And I'm really excited to see you continue on into high school and the great things that you will accomplish. And thank you very much for this ceremony this evening to Kingswood and the committee. It was a real honor to be here tonight. So thank you very much, Jackson. There. Oh. You're welcome.
I'd like to first thank the staff of Stanley and my family. I'd also like to say that each and every one of you have won this award tonight. You're each inspirations to turn around and strive your best to be your best. And so give yourself a pat on the back and thank you.
There were 3 students tonight who were not able to be with us. As Blair mentioned, Daniel Brochure of Warramukto High School moved out west, and then Ashley Louage and Kayla Johnston, both grade 12 students at Enterprise, Leo Hayes High School, will be receiving their awards in June at the Enterprise graduation. Now, for a couple of reasons, one that I'm sure you're dying to stretch a little bit before we move into the scholarship program, which will be short, I do want to give an opportunity for everyone to stand, but first, I would like to give the opportunity for every family member here, because that was definitely a recurring theme tonight. Thank my mom, thank my dad, thank my papa. So would all of the family members stand firstly to be deservedly recognized for the support you've provided to your children and to these incredible students. Now, besides our special awards, each grade 12 student continuing their education will receive a $1,000 scholarship from Kingswood. A certificate with this information will be presented to each student as they go through the receiving line. And just an interesting fact, since this program began 20 years ago, we have honored 783 students and presented, absolutely, and presented $250,000 in scholarship awards. That's great. And I will just mention, because it doesn't come up anywhere else in my script, that there are other jurisdictions in Canada, Halifax namely, that are interested in pursuing this. They were a little overwhelmed the first year that they were introduced to it, thought they'd take some time to think it over, but I think they're going to be committed, and we're going to see this deservedly spread across the country. Thanks again, in great part to Brian Johnson. Before we begin our scholarship presentation, oh, I have lots to say about this guy at the end. Before we begin our scholarship presentations, I would like to take a few moments to talk about 2 events that are held each year to raise funds for our student scholarships. The first is our Bowl-a-thon, which has been taking place for the last 7 years and has raised more than $48,000 to go towards our scholarship program. And this event would not be possible without the continued support of the teachers and the staff from the district, so a big thank you to all of you involved. And this year, for the second time, we were part of the Sun Life Financial Chair campaign. Now, this event generated $2,000 for the Turnaround Achievement Award Scholarship Program, and this year, we will be having a special event in October, so please listen for news of this. Now, for our individual scholarships. This is so exciting. New Brunswick Society of Retired Teachers Central Branch has a scholarship valued at $500, and it is going to be presented by Betty Smith, or Smythe, to Mitchell Grandy of Leo Hayes High School, attending NBCC for Human Services. So if the both of you could come forward and be deservedly recognized. Mitchell, that was a great story that we heard tonight. Congratulations, well deserved, and good luck in your future endeavors. Ladies and gentlemen, Mitchell Grandy. We also have a Pepsi scholarship valued at $1,000. This will be presented by Sarah Lightbody, and the winner is Troy Drost of Chipman Forest Avenue School. I loved your story too. And he will be attending NBCC Miramichi for a heavy equipment course. St. Thomas University's $2,000 scholarship presented by Michelle Monahan goes to Brianna Solomon, Fredericton High School. And as we heard, Brianna is enrolled in the Bachelor of Arts program. We have an NBCC scholarship presented by Cynthia Shepard of NBCC Fredericton, $1,000 to Blair Magionis, OHS Civil Engineering Tech Program, NBCC Fredericton. Great job, Blair. And I'm going to have Cynthia stay here to present another $1,000 scholarship to Shelby McDonald of FHS, the LPN program, NBCC Fredericton. The University of New Brunswick's $5,000 scholarship presented by Jonathan Crosland to Grant Christopher Logan of Stanley High School, enrolled in Bachelor of Computer Science program. Great job, Grant. We're expecting great things from you. Nashwaaksis Lions Club scholarship of $1,000 presented by Lion Brent Buchanan and his dad Richard Buchanan to Courtney Sturge of Leo Hayes High School, who will be attending Atlantic Hairstyling Academy. Courtney, what an inspiration you're going to be. If anybody sees you, they're going to be wanting to sign up for services. And we did mention the media, and I also would like to thank New Cap Radio. They have been tremendous promoting this event. They also are putting forward a scholarship valued at $1,000 presented by Dave Newbury to Ashley Dimitri of Fredericton High School, who will be attending Majestany Institute in Aesthetics. I'd understand why you'd want to take another picture. Now, this next scholarship is very, very special. It's the Nick Plimmer Scholarship. It's valued at $2,000, and it's being presented by Janice Plimmer. And as Janice is making her way forward, I'll just mention that this scholarship is presented annually in Nick's memory. Nick worked very hard with at-risk students in District 17 and 18. This program was very dear to his heart, and tonight we are privileged to have Nick's wife, Janice, here with us to present to Calvin Charette of Macadam High School, who will be attending the Center for Arts and Technology. I do hope that somehow we get to follow the stories of these young aspiring students, because I think they're headed for great things. So that does conclude our scholarship presentations, and let's congratulate all of our recipients. These are going to be the future. So in total this evening, students received $29,500 worth of scholarship money, which is really great, and we thank very sincerely our partners in this program. We would also like to thank the following institutions that are part of our program: Eastern College, Atlantic Business College, Crandall University. They just didn't have recipients this year. Also, this program could not continue without the support, and I know without even saying the name, you know who I'm going to be saying, Brian Johnson of Kingswood. He envisions this as an opportunity to make a difference in the community and the lives of young people, and those are the kinds of stories that we've heard throughout this evening. We have recognized these stories, and you, Brian, are just so front and center of this program and this event and the success stories that we're hearing. I think it's remarkable that the students themselves get to hear such great accolades, and it will hopefully allow them to stay committed to their journey forward. So on behalf of everyone here tonight, thank you very much. This round of applause is for you. Brian shared with me casually before this event, I believe he is the only one remaining of the organizing committee within the last 20 years. So that's pretty remarkable. His commitment has stayed true, and we thank you for that. Now, if you could give our students just time to perform a receiving line over by the exit, and then I'd ask that you please take a moment and offer words of encouragement and congratulate them on their achievements. We hope everyone has enjoyed our ceremony tonight, and I want to wish you all a very good night and safe travels, and hopefully we'll see you here again next year. Thank you, everyone.